Hello citizens, I'm Meet Parekh. So today we're gonna be discussing is the most prominent, the most powerful, the most longest and the most strongest. It is the Indian Constitution. So at the aspect which today we will be discussing are what is the Constitution and what is Indian Constitution? What is the history of our Constitution and what are the important facts which has been laid down in the Constitution? And is our constitution is being copied, as we have heard that the whole constitution is being copied from the Britain. Is it so? Let's start discussing. So the constitution simply means the rules and regulation which is being laid down by the central, which has to be followed by the citizen of India irrespective of caste, creed, different religion, legitimate, illegitimate, all the people are supposed to follow it. So the Indian Constitution has written certain rules, regulation which has been followed by all the people of Indian origin. In India, we simply call it as the Samvidhan. As here we can see this Bharat ka Samvidhan. So it has written down certain rules. So what the rules it has written, let's start discussing. Number one, it deals with the citizenship. So in India, who can be given the citizenship if a person from, let's say, America is coming for just one day? Can he be considered as citizenship? Not at all. A person has to stay, has to live in India for almost 12 years, then only he'll be granted the citizenship. And India, as we are aware, the format of single citizenship is being followed. It has also laid down the fundamental right which has to be given to the citizen of India as right to liberty, fraternity, integrity, and many more. The languages of India, as the article also has given the importance to the languages. As in India, we have 1692 total languages. Out of this, we have 22 official language which has been adopted in the schedule. It also deals with the states and union territories, as earlier there are chances the earlier, for example, Goa was not at all a state. So in the constitution, with the amendments and with the time and period, the states and union territories, also the bifurcation has been laid down. And it's just the fourth thing, but it also has many more things which has been written. For example, what can be the situation in case of national emergency, what are the fundamental duties which has to be followed by the citizenship. But the main aspect which also it deals with is the writing with the writing the fundamentals wrongs with the fundamental rights. In writing the constitution, when Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar has simply given the importance what the citizens are not supposed to do rather than what they are supposed to do. So that's why from all the perspective, from all the language, from all the era, it has been observed, and that's why we today have the strongest and the longest constitution in the world. So now while coming to the second aspects, that's the history of our constitution, that is how our constitution came into existence. So let's get back some era. So the date of independence, India got independence on 15th August 1947. The date of drafting of our constitution was almost after 1.5 years, that is 26 November 1949. And the date of acceptance, that is 26 Jan 1950, we actually celebrate on that day as Republic Day. Here I actually wants to make a note that we actually celebrate our Republic Day for not just for one day but actually for 3 days. That is from 26 January to 29 January. However, while getting back to the era, the main purpose of actually adding the new constitution is to replace the Indian Independence Act 1947. But now here comes the main question, like why was the need to draft the new one and to replace the old? So let's start answering those questions. As British decided to leave India and to give the yam to its citizen at the same time, there were two ideologies which has been developed which made India to split into two, that is Pakistan and India. So now there were two ideologies which has been developed, like today we have BJP as well as Congress. So at that time there were two ideology which has been developed. Number one was the Muslim League, and the second was Indian National Congress. The Muslim League was backed by Muhammad Ali Jinnah, and the Indian National Congress was backed by Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru, Sardar Vallabhbhai Patel, and many more prominent leaders. However, the role of Gandhiji here was very limited. He was neither the part of Muslim League nor of Indian National Congress. He was just having one motto that India should be one and it should not be divided. But as today we actually failed to fulfill the hope of our father of nation, and India has actually been split into two. Now, the third one, that is the important facts of our constitution. Number first fact, it is that it is the longest constitution in the world as it comprises of 1,45,000 words. Earlier on 26 Jan, when the constitution was adopted, it consisted of 395 articles, 22 parts and 8 schedules. Until now, it is having 448 articles, 25 chapter and 20 schedule with 101 amendment. That is the latest. It is the GST. So amendments are basically the updation of the constitution when from time to time it is required. So we'll be discussing that amendments in the later. Number second, it took almost 3 years to draft the constitution. While coming to the exact figures, it almost took 2 years, 11 months and 18 days. In the constitution, we can see the most prominent people who was writing down the constitution as Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar being the most pioneer of our constitution. In the drafting committee, it was having 284 members including 15 women. Number third, the guardian of our constitution. If anything happens with the constitution, the most reliable person who will be guarding the constitution is the Supreme Court. So it is the duty of Supreme Court to guard, to nourish the constitution. So now comes the fourth and the last one. Is our constitution is copied? Before that, I just want to raise one question. That is, if you like someone's behavior and you actually feel that it should be there in you, then what will you do? Definitely will try to inculcate that behavior in us as we actually like that person's behavior. So that's what has happened with our constitution. It is not like that from the British constitution, the whole constitution of India is being adopted. We have actually made sure that the India should actually have the best constitution of the world. So from that perspective, from all over the world, the other constitution which were governing the best aspect was being adopted. That is from Germany, from America, from USSR, Canada, and we too have our own constitution, which is Government of India Act 1935, which was laying down. That we'll be discussing later. So while coming to the sources of our constitution, the first source, that is the USA, from United States of America, we have adopted certain aspects. That is, number one is the preamble of our constitution. The preamble is basically the introduction of our constitution. So in starting, as we have that we the people of India having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic republic, and to secure to all its citizens justice, liberty. This preamble we have adopted from USA. So in USA they are having we the people of USA having, and the same is being followed. The second is the fundamental rights. The rights of citizen, as in India we have been given the 6 rights, that is the right to liberty, equality, fraternity, integrity, that we have adopted from the constitution of US. The removal of Supreme Court and High Court judges, the procedure we have adopted from USA. Next is Britain. From Britain we have adopted the parliament form of government. That is, in India the prime minister will be the head and not the president. In USA, when we were governing, the president is the head, that is the Donald Trump. So we have adopted the parliamentary form of government from the Britain. And the idea of single citizenship, that in India the person who is living in India will be having only one single citizenship. If a person is moving outside, then his citizenship will be void. The next is South Africa. From South Africa, we have adopted the constitutional amendments. As we have discussed, the amendments are basically the changes which has to be there from time to time. As today's situation isn't going to be like on 26 January 1950 which we had. So from time to time the updation should be there. So in India we have total 101 amendments in the constitution which has happened. The latest amendment is GST, that is the 101th amendment. So the important amendment of the constitution are certain amendments which we can discuss is the 53rd amendment, as the granted statehood to the Union Territory of Mizoram, as earlier Mizoram was not the state, it was the Union Territory. So, with the 53rd Amendment, it was being granted that Union Territory of Mizoram will be the state. Same happens in 55th Amendment with the Arunachal Pradesh as it granted the statehood. 56th Amendment was made in 1987 as Goa was made the state, and the 61st Amendment was dealing with the reduction of the voting age from 21 to 18 years of the Indian citizen. The fourth source is USSR, basically today's Russia. From Russia, we have adopted the 5 years plan. So 5 years plan are basically the plan which India should have for 5 years. So first plan was adopted in 1951 to 56. So the plans which was adopted in 1951 to 56 was the development of primary sector, that is the development of the agriculture. From different second plan there was different aspects. Third plan was different aspects. The main plan motto of plan was to increase the ratio of GDP. So in India we had total 12th plan, and later in 2016 it was the whole 5 years plan was replaced by Niti Aayog, that is the National Institute for Transforming India. The head of Niti Aayog is Amitabh Kant. The fifth is the Germany. From Germany we have adopted the suspension of rights during the emergency. As emergency, basically we can consider it as the threat to the nation which the nation has to secure. So Article 352 deals with the national emergency, 356 deals with the state emergency, and 360 deals with the financial emergency. In all three cases, the rights of the citizen will be removed and the whole power will be governed by the center, that is the central government. In India, national emergency has occurred three times: 1962 during the India-China War, 1971 during India-Pakistan War, and 1975 at the time when Indira Gandhi was PM, and for securing her vote she declared national emergency. The state emergency was declared in all the states except Telangana and Chhattisgarh, as Punjab being the state which was governing the president rule for almost 10 years, and Uttar Pradesh is the one who has occurred highest number of state emergency, that is for the 10 times. And in India, the fact is the financial emergency has never been occurred in India yet, and still we hope this will never occur in India, as due to the main prominent RBI working and the monetary policy which is being framed by our government. It is really supporting us. The sixth source is the Japanese and Chinese constitution. From them we have adopted the fundamental duties which the citizens of India are supposed to follow. Certain fundamental duties are to abide by the constitution and to respect the ideals and the institution. Number second is with to respect national flag and national anthem. As in current affairs while discussing, China has recently adopted that if a person is disrespecting the national anthem, then he'll be held under imprisonment for 3 years. In India, we still nowadays actually face the national anthem controversy during the movies and many more. The fundamental duties is that we should always respect the national anthem, national flag for the integrity and for the security of our nation. The next is to realize and follow the essential idealism of secularism, democracy, and non-violence. To preserve the cultural heritage site, to protect the unity, integration of nature, to safeguard the public property, to protect the natural resource, to avoid dowry, and many more. From the seventh is from Australia, we have adopted the concurrent list, as the list are basically the subject matter of the state as well as the center. As the state has been given certain powers which they are supposed to govern, and the central which has been given them. So the center includes the powers such as the working of police, agriculture, irrigation, trade. The union list basically governs the defense, banking system, the currency of our nation, and foreign affairs. But when both the thing is governed by both of them, it includes the concurrent list. The concurrent list includes the education system, forest working, the trade, the marriage proposal, the adoption, and the succession. From Australia, so we have adopted the idea of concurrent list, in which the state as well as the central are supposed to follow and to help each other in the working. The other sources which we discuss is the French Constitution. From the French Constitution, we have adopted the idea of liberty, equality, and fraternity. And in India, before the before the independence, we had the British government working. So the idea The act which was following was the Government of India Act 1935. From them we have followed the distribution of power between state and central, and the other sources from them was the British Raj Act. The British Raj Act also governs the Indians era before the independence. So that's all, friends. So in simple, what we have discussed is the meaning of constitution, the important facts, the history of our constitution, and the main prominent answer is that constitution is being copied. It is not at all copied. It's just the idea which the drafting committee has adopted from all over the world, as they actually want that the most fruitful India should have the strongest constitution in the world. So at the end we can conclude that it's just an idea which has been adopted and not the constitution. It is not being copied at all. Thank you, friends. Please, if you like my video, please do like, share, subscribe.